Next one is, hi guys, I hope you're all doing great. Just a quick question. If you want to create a new website for a client in order to optimize it for GMB ranking, but the client wants to keep the existing website unchanged, online and active, can you remove the old set website URL in the GMB listing and replace it with the URL of the new site without incurring a negative effects from Google? And if you think there is a possibility of a negative effect, what might the effect be, and what is the percentage chance of that happening? I don't know what the percentage chance of that happening is. Sometimes changing significant details like the website URL can cause a suspension or a re-verification. You got to be careful right now with doing that. And yes, it not only do you have to be concerned with that, and I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that, telling you to be careful, because changing the URL can trigger either a suspension or a re-verification, and that's a pain in the ass. So just be careful. I mean, if you got to do it, you got to do it, and just take your chances. But explain that to the client ahead of time, that, hey, look, we got to change this URL, and there's a possibility that the Google Business Profile will be suspended, or there's a possibility it will trigger a re-verification, in which case we're going to have to jump through some hoops to get it reinstated or re-verified. And oftentimes, if it's a real valid business, you can get it reinstated or re-verified. So as long as it's a real valid business, you're most likely going to be able to get it reinstated or re-verified either way. And it might not trigger any of those. You might be able to change it and it'll be fine. But it's a roll of the dice every time. You never know. And there's no way to know other than to just do it. You know what I mean? So and you got to be very transparent about that kind of stuff with your clients ahead of time. Do not tell them everything's going to be, sunshine and giggles, and then next thing you know, their listing is suspended and you've got some explaining to do. Don't do that. Tell them up front that there's a chance that it could be suspended or trigger a re-verification. So, if it doesn't happen, then great. Now you're like, now you're ahead of the game. But if it does happen, at least we're made aware of it, right? So they don't get super, super angry. They're probably still going to be upset, but at least they were aware that that was a possibility ahead of time. Okay. Now, that said, it's funny because I was just having a chat with one of our mastermind members about potentially doing some white label SEO stuff for him. And I have a policy where I just will not work on other people's websites. I just flat out won't do it. If I take on a client and they have an existing website and they want me to do on-page work, I tell them, okay, I will provide consultation videos, guidance on what to do to optimize the on-page, like your site, internal linking, content modifications, structure changes, all of that. I can consult, provide guidance for all of that in video format, along with, checklist items and things like that I can send to either you or your webmaster, and they can handle that. I'm not going to do it. I don't work on other people's websites unless I build the site or my team builds the site. I'm not working on your damn site. I just won't do it. I've reached a point in my career. I don't want to do it. It's too much of a nightmare. There's too many customizations, too many different themes, too many different page builders, there's just so much stuff. Every time I've ever gotten involved in somebody else's website, it's ended up being an enormous pain in my ass, and it's not worth the money. So I just flat out won't do it anymore. If somebody has an existing website, I'll tell them, I'll give you guidance and consultation on what to do, which you can you can provide those instructions to your webmaster and they can make those changes. Or the alternative is we build you a new site, period. That's it. Those are the only two options. Now, I say those are the only two options. There is a third option, which is what most of my clients take now, which is, I'm not going to touch your website. I can still provide guidance on on-page changes that you can present to your webmaster, or you can do yourself. But what I'll do is I'll build a site on a supplemental, or what I call a bolt-on site as a subdomain. So in other words, you give me access to your domain registrar. I'll set up a subdomain, point it to my own host, and I'll build a site on a subdomain, which will be connected to your root domain, right? And that's fine. That way, I'll build it to look the same kind of theme or same kind of color scheme. That's not theme, color scheme, so that it looks very similar to what your main money site looks like. But this will be a subdomain site that I build and I control, that I have full control over, and I built it the way that I know how to build sites that we'll be able to manage, and that's fine. And that a lot of my more recent clients, since I adopted that policy, have taken that on. So I don't touch their main website, or I might provide them with some guidance, like here, change your title tags, add alt text to your images, maybe internal linking, like you got some pages here that should be linking to this page and they're not. I might provide guidance for that, but I'll tell them flat out, I'm going to put a new site on a subdomain that I have full control over, and I'm going to do all my SEO work to that. If that makes sense. And that works. That's the way it works for me. I've most of my clients over the last year and a half, 2 years since I started that policy, they accept that. They'll say, okay, yeah, that's fine. And I usually don't charge for that. I mean, it depends. Like if I've mentioned this before, but I do, like for tree contractors, my bottom line starting point, which is Google Business SEO only, right? That's just optimizing your Google Business profile and getting maps ranking. I start at $850 a month. If they want if they want website optimization too, then I just charge $150 a month for that. I don't charge them like a build fee or a setup fee or anything like that. I'll build them a subdomain site because I use templates that I've already built, right? So I just install a template and swap out the details and it's built. So it really isn't a big problem for me. I just mark up my monthly retainer by $150 to now manage a self-hosted site, one that I built on their subdomain. Does that make sense? Or if they don't already have a site, or if they're okay with me building a new site for them, I'll just put it on their root domain. But a lot of times clients already have a site that they're happy with, and I tell them flat out, it's fine. I'm just not going to optimize that. I can provide guidance. I'm just not going to touch it. I'll build everything on a subdomain site that I can make to look like your main site, and that way I can control that. And then like I said, I just charge $150 a month in addition to, so it goes from $850 a month to $1,000 a month. And then I manage all their self-hosted site stuff on the site that I built for them. And I don't charge them a setup fee for that. It's just part of their retainer. Does that make sense? Okay.